Rise and shine, YouTube. We are back, and we got a video that has been highly requested. We're going to be taking a look at what I think is the best Ergo of 2023. And then we will be taking a look at one that just fell short. So, strap in, and let's go. Alright. The Ergo game. The Ergo game is very kind of strange when it comes to small hands because you really got to be careful with the different side notches on the right hand side and the thumb notches on the left hand side. Ergos are very different shape to shape with its length, with its notches, with its width. Everything about an Ergo is very particular to your hand shape. That's why it's an ergonomic mouse. It's supposed to be comfortable, it's supposed to be fluid. You're not supposed to be messing around with 7,000 different grip styles to make sure it's comfortable. Ergo shape, once you get it in hand, it should be comfortable and it should just go, right? Shouldn't have to be messing around with something over the course of hours and hours trying to find that specialized grip for you. As an Ergo shape, the shape itself will do that depending on the kind of mouse that you pick up. I've used many Ergos throughout the time of testing and reviewing. I've tried the Model D2 Pro, which I found that is definitely too long for smaller hands. I've tried back in the day the Skull Mini, the Prime Mini, the X-Lite Mini. Now those mini shapes I actually find to be too small because they're too narrow and you don't really get that very like fine-tuned tracking because you tend to squeeze the sides of the mouse of those small ones more to where you fatigue more, right? Because they're so narrow in where you grip. I just don't find it to be that better ergonomic design. Now, these two mice that I have on this beautiful glaze glass pad, these two mice, in my opinion, are the top Ergo mice of 2023, right? Going into 2024. I haven't tried the X-Lite. I've tried the X-Lite back in the day, the medium. They released the ES. It's the same shape. I don't find the X-Lite to be a great mouse for smaller hands. It is what it is, right? For me personally, I just didn't find it to kind of be more comfortable to be that Ergo shape for me. Now, when it comes to the Thorn and the Outset, these two mice really knocked it out of the park. Two different companies dropping bangers, right? I haven't tried the Outset wired before, and I've never used the Thorn. I was hesitant on picking this up because people said it was going to be too big. Well, I don't find it to be the case for any of these, right? I have 16 by 9 hands, and for me, these mice are very comfortable to use, but there is one winner that I'll talk about here later on. So starting off first, we're going to start with Lamzu Thorn, right? This guy right here, in my opinion, is made for those gamers, the small-handed gamers, and just any size who want that more aggressive style grip. How I use this mouse, right? This is how I would grip it because the left hand's thumb groove kind of sits right where my thumb is, and it locks my thumb in place. And when it comes to the right hand side of the mouse, right here, you get that little notch for your ring finger. And you get the kind of, you just throw your pinky back there. So how I hold it is like this, right? I do kind of curve my fingers in just because how the clicks feel as well. M1 and M2 taper down more aggressive than standard Ergos. Kind of think of it as like the Stormbreaker, where they taper down more aggressive than this. But this is kind of in the same sense of how they taper down. That's why I kind of adjust into like a more claw style fingertip grip. When it comes to the clicks, right, these are all optical switches. They kind of feel a little airy for me, where it feels like there's just, it's a little more hollow underneath it. They're not my favorite optical switches. I think still my favorite ones are the X2 V2 clicks because they're crispy. They just actuate really quick, and they don't feel like there's air or hollowness under them like the Lamzu Thorn does. Does it mean that it's bad because of the clicks? No, not at all. The clicks still feel good. They're just not my favorite. Scroll wheel is nice and quiet. Each individual step is more profound, it's smooth, and it doesn't bother me at all. It is a scroll wheel, right? Now, if you look at the underneath, the skate design is really cool, but I'd still prefer a much more safer skate design with maybe like the two here and top here in the middle, and then just kind of not having these two side ones, which you can probably take them off and you'll be perfectly fine. But it is what it is, right? It looks cool. It's innovative. I still like it. Now, what do I think this one? I already said it's made for more of the aggressive, and why is that? Well, how the clicks angle down and how I tend to grip this mouse. When it comes down to tracking, right, it is not, it doesn't, I didn't feel that connected with this mouse when it came to tracking, right? When it comes to tracking, I like to be more relaxed, but even with this, like, I can't really bring the mouse down into my palm unless I get into that aggressive style. So I find this mouse to be more tuned for the tack shooter gamers, right? Where you get a more aggressive, and the headshot, the being more precise on this mouse is where it is at than being more relaxed, right? So that's what I think this mouse is mainly for. It's for those tag shooter gamers, right? It's for those people who want to be more precise. It's for like the Widow makers in Overwatch. It's for the just wingman Andes in Apex, right? I didn't really have too much kind of connection with this when it came to tracking because I do grip it more aggressively, and I tend to overshoot much, much more on the Thorn than I did when I was playing CS2 and just trying to be more kind of headshot precise, trying to just target transfer. I felt like that was better for me on that mouse than it was tracking a long range target, right? And then tracking octane swapping back and forth. I just really didn't find to connect well with the Thorn, but it's still a good shape. It's still a comfortable shape, and it's made for, I think, just a specific kind of gaming audience. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. If you main the Thorn, comment below what games you play and go from there. Now, what I think and what I personally like a lot more is the Vaxi Outset. The Vaxi Outset, in my opinion, feels more of like a rounded out style kind of ergo, especially on the right hand side, because you don't have the much aggressive style notches on the side. You just kind of throw your hand on it and they just kind of sit in there, right? When it comes to the thumb groove, the thumb groove is less kind of aggressive than the Thorn, but it does kind of come out farther on the backhand side, as you can see in the comparison right there. The Outset is much more wider, where the Thorn is much more kind of more narrow. When it comes to how I place my thumb and where I grip it, I kind of place it back here with the back button, and I find it to be more comfortable, and I can actually move the mouse a lot more freely in hand, but I can still come up and click both side buttons, and I can go from there. I can use this mouse in a relaxed grip. When it comes to tracking, it does kind of feel more of an extension of my hand than the Thorn does. When it comes to the clicks kind of meet my fingers, where I don't have to meet the clicks with an arc in my fingers, which I like a lot more than the Thorn. Scroll wheel is still tactile, still crispy, still, I think it's a little more smooth than the Thorn, but you still feel the individual steps. And like I just said, the clicks are nice and crispy. They're more clicky than the Thorn, but the way the shape is with the clicks, it allows me to get a more kind of relaxed kind of grip on them, where I'm not kind of forcing anything here. Do I find the backside of this Thorn to be uncomfortable? You might see in other reviews that they really talk about how the backside hits the meaty portion of your thumb. I don't actually think about it in a game, and I really don't even think about feeling it, because, I mean, it's something that it doesn't bother me at all, because as you can see, it's not really being placed. I'm not really palming this mouse. when it comes down to it, I'm relaxed, but I'm further back where I can really whip the mouse around. Now, this mouse is around 74 grams, the Thorn is around 52. You can feel the weight difference, but shape wise, it is much, much more comfortable in a small hand perspective because you can move your thumb along the entirety of the back and you can still click how I'm holding it here on the very back end of the clicks, but I would definitely kind of move your fingers up and get it be placed right in the middle if you have small hands. Right hand grip, super comfortable. Left hand thumb groove, super, super comfortable. So I use this mouse particularly in the finals when it was out, Apex. Like, I've tested this the mouse in many, many different games, and I performed a lot better than the Thorn in every aspect because, one, my fingers weren't getting fatigued. I wasn't getting a little cramp up, kind of being more aggressive with the Thorn. With this, I just threw my hand on it and just kind of went with it. So, what do I think out of these two is the best? I will say the Outset is the best Ergo that I have used and that small-handed gamers can comfortably use in 2023. Now, yes, there's many other smaller Ergos, but this kind of allows you to mess around with the grip more. It doesn't have you locked in. It doesn't have you just figuring out your grip. You throw your hand on it and you're like, "Oh, okay, this is the grip I'm using because this is it right here." So, if you are choosing an Ergo out of these two, I'd personally go with the Outset if you want to be more relaxed, right? Now, if you're one of those guys who do like to be more aggressive with your mice, you like that more kind of claw grip, yeah, you can go with the Thorn. Small-handed perspective, right? Again, larger hands might prefer something different. But for small-handed gamers, a more aggressive style will be more fine-tuned and more, and like I think the better grip for this mouse overall. So there you have it. Two Ergo mice of 2023. The Outset being the winner and what I would personally main if I were to use an Ergo. I don't main Ergos. I still like symmetrical mice more. But if I were to main an Ergo of 2023 and going forward, Outset would be the winner. So kudos to both Faxi and Thorn for making such good mice for 2023 and that small-handed gamers can actually use without being more of like having a mouse that's too large, too big, all that. Small-handed gamers can still use this, and it's such a good W in my book. But Outset wins, so go try this mouse if you haven't tried it, and if you're looking for an Ergo, Outset is my recommendation. Yeah. So, there you have it. Rise up. God bless. Peace.